Church. We've got a special treat for you guys today.
That is correct.
You're going to get to view, well, I don't even know what to call it. An experiment?
I would call it a masterpiece in the making. Something that you're only going to see once, and that's really all you need to see it.
You're not going to want to see it again. It's kind of maybe a piece of artwork is what we should call it.
I would say it's definitely art. Now, remember, art is up to you to interpret. So please feel free to let us know how you feel about it. If you are on YouTube,
make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and don't forget to click that bell.
That's how it goes, right?
Like, subscribe, comment, and click that bell. Now we're YouTubers. Thanks, everybody. If you're watching us on Facebook, we're so very thankful to have you here this morning. We know it's awfully chilly outside.
Uh-oh. Do we have sound now? Okay, good. I like that. Oh, I can hear it on my phone. That's super helpful.
I don't like the sound of my own voice, but thank you.
There we go. We can hear us. We're looking good. Okay, so what we've got for you guys today is a special video where you're going to get to see Pastor Nathaniel and myself have our noses waxed. Now, we had to film this previously so that it would be set and ready for this morning, but we're actually going to be watching the video with you guys.
First time.
So you'll get to see our reactions to our noses being waxed, and I think we're gonna roll that video here in a second. It's gonna be wild.
With
here
Pastor Nathaniel, we're going over to meet Pastor Z right now, and what are we about to do?
Well, we thought for this week's hangout,
I think we should cover up
we would
Pastor
try
Cassidy's
something
face
new.
like this more often.
And by something new, I mean we're gonna stick hot wax up our nose and pull out our manly nose hairs.
That sounds exciting. Stay tuned. All right, we made it.
All right, we're here. I'm wearing my Texas Walker Ranger jacket. Pastor Ryan Z is not here yet, but we're gonna give this a go and wish these nose hairs goodbye. Wish us luck.
All right, Pastor Z is here.
Hey, there's me.
How excited are you?
I'm
a little nervous.
You're a little nervous? Why are you so nervous? What's going to happen?
Well, I've had things waxed before, and I'm not sure what's going to happen here, though.
Oh, man. Let's go check on Pastor Nathaniel.
I didn't know what I was getting into.
Can we take a second just look at how
He's in the chair ready to go.
It's happening already.
I appreciate that.
So I'm going to place this paper towel right here.
All right.
Check the mustache. I'm going to take this
Here it goes.
Oh, boy.
Do you remember this?
I do.
Oh, it's like a COVID test.
Imagine like the worst sinus day of your life.
Not that bad.
And then someone's giant thumb up your nose.
It's like the terror in the joy.
I was very intrigued.
So if I breathe in through my nose really hard, what would happen right now? Okay.
Nothing on the right side.
Inhale the wax.
I was ready for it to be over. It's like whenever you're at the dentist and they have your mouth all open real wide. It's like that.
It's like you're having fun.
Okay.
I'm crying a little bit.
I am intrigued to see how this goes.
It was warmer than I expected.
So Pastor Nathaniel, he is crying.
I don't know if
just
it's
a little
happening
bit
yet,
right
but I
now.
feel like it's about to.
Tears of joy.
I was ready.
I always thought
You guys
that,
can't
like,
see it,
you
but
go
there were man
places in
tears
life.
coming
I
out
just
right
never
about
thought that
there.
life would bring me
Tears
here.
of manliness.
Yeah, not
Cassie, you ready?
pain, just
1, 2, 3,
Sheer manhood.
wax tears.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, here it goes.
All right, at this point, I question every decision I'd ever made.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
It looks so much worse.
I think we get a close-up here. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
See, now I know why Pastor goes.
That's nasty. Sorry.
He doesn't have those things.
I didn't even know there was that much
Your next
hair in a nose.
Is there blood?
There's so much blood.
Pretty.
He's ready to rock. Oh, we had to get the wax chunks out.
Yeah, you have to get the wax boogies out. The wax boogies will really ruin your day.
Those are called woogies. For all of you joining us online.
By the way, if you're just tuning in, I'm sorry.
I've never had my nose waxed before.
Yeah, if you're just tuning in, we're waxing our noses. Just enjoy.
Pretty solid unibrow.
This is a funny face.
Look at the difference in this man's face with and without glasses on.
Funny face. My glasses really magnify my eyes.
You're going straight from Kmart to GQ.
Proud of you, man.
The waxability of my unibrow. He was just lying to us. Should I like flare the nostrils?
I actually like no glasses better. Or no, I like with glasses better.
That's because you're humble.
I
You're a
don't
humble,
know.
kind man.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, Erickson?
Now your nose right now.
Here we go.
Okay, it's coming.
It's about to get
The
waxy.
wax. Ooh, it's gonna get waxy.
Use stuff once you get done.
Oh, my eyeball is very large there. I think I was nervous.
Well, you just heard me cry like a child.
Get a little close.
Oh, look at that. That's not even wax. It's just woogies.
Close up.
Warm caramel.
That's nice. I wish I had warm caramel inside my nose.
We're doing you next.
No, I'm good.
Letting that wax solidify is really crucial to the process.
Yeah. Zoom in.
Those eyes.
Got the little peace sign.
Tell me you couldn't get lost in those.
Ready? Oh! It happened before I could even think about it.
Oh my, that's a force.
That's the thing. That's
There's
chunky.
a lot of hair there.
There's a lot of hair there.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That almost looked like
Wow.
that looked like the inside of a chicken big nugget.
You know that?
I understand.
You know that scene in Christmas Vacation where he's unfolding the tree and he goes,
This is something you should
a lot of
do
sap
at like
in there.
8 o'clock in the morning,
That's right.
just so you're awake for the rest
a lot of hair in there.
Every day.
Didn't know that was there.
Okay.
Hey, shout out to my beautiful wife for joining us.
Wax. Now what?
Okay, what are we doing here?
What happened? Oh, I forgot. I liked the waxing so much that I decided to get my brows done as well.
We decided to expand on it.
I've had my brows waxed before.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
All right, so we finished up. What do you guys think?
Huge shout out to
It was
Mindy
so
from
quick.
Straight Edge
so
Barber. She's
quick.
one of
We
our
come back to,
lifers.
our
I couldn't
exit.
appreciate her
All right,
more.
we're
This is
talking.
great.
I have a new lease on life, and it turns out that smell is a beautiful thing.
I think that
So if you want your nose
think that our
plucked
video-
gingerly,
still going.
but with the strength of 10 men, come see Mindy at Straight Edge Barber. I like it.
All right, guys.
hey, there we go. We are back
If you watch
in
that,
front of you, man.
thank you for your patience before
Props-
service begins. That
Props
was,
for sticking with us.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so
Yes.
much. We appreciate you.
That was something. Okay, we've got some announcements, but before we get to those announcements, just real quick, what
Yeah.
do you like pre-nose wax to post-nose wax? What do you notice that's different?
It's so smooth. Whenever you get up in there, like as far as you can get,
Digging for gold?
it's better.
I-
It's a smooth surface, and you can almost just fling now.
So I'm actually not sure that I love the nose wax.
No, I do not, but I do recommend Mindy. She's amazing.
Oh my gosh, Straight Edge Barber, our friend Mindy, she's a new lifer. You guys should check them out if you are looking for a
Yeah,
barber. Even if you've got
absolutely.
a barber, she's better.
She's not afraid to pull the hair
All the hair,
straight
the wax,
out from inside your nose.
the eyebrows, the nose. There's,
Maybe behind the ears.
I'm sure you can get your ears waxed.
Yeah, a neck waxing.
Ear wax. That was not that funny. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. Let's see. We've got just a few minutes before service starts. We wanted to run through some announcements for you guys.
Yes.
Obviously, our cafe is back and opened up, fully
Yes.
stocked, ready to rock and roll.
Biscuits and gravy. That's all. That's
I
all
don't even know what else they
have.
serve in there.
That's it.
But there's all of the cafe things, and then we've got a meeting today.
Hey guys, so after the 11 o'clock service today is our Eagle Sky Camp Parents
Woot,
meeting.
woot.
We'll be sharing a lot of information. I just got off the phone with them yesterday, and they were able to
Don't
provide
miss
us
it.
with all of the new things that our kids will be doing this summer at New Life. So if you are planning on having your child attend, or if you're kind of on the fence right now, please swing on by. It'll be about 12:15 in the loft. We'd love to have you.
There we go. And then we've got our parent meeting not our parent meeting. We've got our parents' night out. Not a meeting. That's a date night just for you guys. Parents' night out Friday, February 12th, just in time for V-Day.
That's right, from 6 to 9 p.m. Bring your kiddos by, get yourself
Bring
a
'em by.
Valentine's date. And if you are going to send your kids to Eagle Sky Camp, but you're looking for a discount on that price,
What?
please feel free to volunteer for our parents' night,
Okay.
and we will take a discounted amount off of your total
I
cost.
love that. That's a little fundraiser for our camp costs.
That's
Come
right.
on. That's what I'm talking about. Then we've got our Valentine's Day chocolate bar. That's going to be February the 14th on Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah, gentlemen, if there's any gentlemen watching, next Sunday, you have
We got
1
you
week.
covered. We got you covered.
1 week.
Don't just do chocolate from New Life. Like, do something else, too.
Or if you just do chocolate from New, if you do chocolate, go ahead and just
I
grab
do-
some of it from
I
here,
do
put it in
do
your
chocolate.
pocket, and then give it to your wife later on.
do chocolate. That's,
And then we are also kicking off Lent next Sunday,
Next
February
Sunday.
the 14th. It officially begins on Ash Wednesday on the 17th.
It's true.
And on February 21st, we will be having our New Life Single Relief Party.
SRP.
That's right.
Single Release Party.
New Life Worship has put together a single, and we can't wait to share it with you. There's going to be places to get your pictures taken. There's going to be
photo op,
food,
red carpet, food, snacks, drinks.
I think you
CDs.
might even be able to get your picture taken with some
giveaway.
band members.
CD giveaway. You'll get your pictures taken with us. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want that in their
great
life?
for you.
I want that. I want a picture with me. What else do we got? And our business meeting is going to be on February 28th. Don't miss it.
Yeah.
You need to be there because there's some cool stuff coming your way.
And we're not just hyping that, I promise. You're not going to want to miss what we have to
cool,
tell you that
it's
day.
Cool stuff
It's
coming
really,
your
really,
way.
really cool.
Hey, here's my friend Trevor. Say hi, Trevor.
Go Chiefs.
That's right. Go Chiefs. We're in Chiefs Kingdom here.
Is there a football game today?
What is football? No, there's a very big game today. It's going to be great. I cannot
playing?
wait for it.
Oh, okay. Is it like playoffs?
Who's playing? Well, it's kind of like a big playoff game.
Oh, okay.
It's called the Superb Owl. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Superb Owl.
Superb Owl, like a really good owl. We got what else? Hey, okay, coming up, there's good stuff, right? At our business meeting, we're announcing it. If you want to be part of that, the best way you can do so is through your giving. There's three ways you can give, right? So you can give in person, you can give online, giving.nlspringfield.com. You can text to give, text 84321 with the amount you'd like to give, or there's also like a fourth, like hidden way that you can give.
Oh, I don't even know this.
Now, it's called recurring giving. And it's not actually like hidden at all. It's actually super straightforward. So if you go to our website and click on the giving link, then there's a little drop down that'll let you set up recurring giving. So you don't have to think about it. You can give automatically. You can honor God through your giving automatically.
So what you're saying is
How
I can
cool is
give
that?
Without even having to worry about it.
Exactly right.
That's great because I forget most things.
That is exactly right. Well, guys, service is about to begin.
That's
so
right.
We cannot wait to see what God's going to do this morning. And make sure, like we said, like, comment, share.
Church, go ahead and stand to your feet. We're going to worship God this morning. Come on, let's put our hands together. Sing it out. And there's one thing I'm asking. There's one thing I'm needing. A moment in this passage is not what I'm seeking. Well, I can see air I'm breathing. I want your presence, feet on the earth, heart full of heaven, zeal for you completely consumes me. I can't get enough of you. Your fire burning right through me. I can't get enough of you. Can't get enough of you. Can't get enough of you. Come on. Sing, I'm after your spirit. It's more than a feeling, and I don't need a reason, to keep chasing who you are. Like it's the air I'm breathing. I want your presence, feet on the earth, heart full of, come on, zeal for you completely consumes me. I can't get enough of you. Your fire burning right through me. I can't get enough of you. Can't get enough of you. Can't get enough of you. we sing every beat. And every beat is yours. You can have it all. Take over like only you can. All I'm reaching for, you and nothing more. Take over like only you can. Every beat is yours. You can have it all. Take over like only you can. All I'm reaching for, you and nothing more. Take over like only you can. Come on. We say, still for you, completely consumes me. I can't get enough of you. Your fire burning right through me. I can't get enough of you. Oh Lord, you. Oh, can't get enough of you. You. Oh, can't get enough of you. Come on, can we lift him up this morning? Well, if you're new here, we're so glad that you joined us this morning, and thanks for watching at home or online or wherever you're at. We're just going to continue in our time of worship this morning. God is here. God wants to meet with us, and so let's just give these next few minutes to Him.
So many reasons, too many to count, to say that I love you, to worship you now. Your love is perfect, your heart is kind. I'm yours forever, forever you're mine. Jesus, the anthem of my heart, Jesus, the anchor of my soul. I'm overwhelmed by all you are. Oh, how I love you. Oh, you call me beloved. You call me friend. Your grace is unworthy. You welcome me in. All that I long for, all that I need is to be in your presence, forever I fall at your feet. Sing this out, church. Jesus, the anthem of my heart, Jesus, the anchor of my soul. I'm overwhelmed by all you are. Oh, how I love you. Jesus, the anthem of my heart, Jesus, the anchor of my soul. I'm overwhelmed by all you are. Oh, how I love you. Faithful to the end, God, you are always good.
Come on, you believe it this morning? Sing that out.
Where do I begin? There's so many reasons to love you.
Yeah.
Your promise never breaks. Your beauty never fades. What else can I say? There's so many reasons to love you. Faithful to the end. God, you are always good. Where do I begin? So many
introduce a new song called Breakthrough this morning. And if there's any of you this morning that needs a breakthrough in your life and your heart, let's just praise through this song, the battles together. I am weary from the way crashing over every day. God of mercy, please come rescue me. I am longing for your voice, gentle whisper in the noise. Father, tell me everything's alright. We sing your power. Your power, your presence breaks strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. Oh, we're believing for a breakthrough, Lord. Sing you alone. You alone can take my scars. Piece by piece restore my heart. Take what's broken, make it whole again. Oh, we sing. Oh, your power, your presence breaks strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. Oh, we believe it, Father. There will be breakthrough. Yeah. Shake the mountains, break the walls apart, open the heavens. Almighty God, you are overcomer, defender of my heart. Come on, we declare this together. Sing by your power. And by your power, the oceans open wide. Your fire falls down, heaven and earth collide. King Jesus, forever by my side. Come on, you believe it this morning. Lift your voice and we're going to declare it together. Come on. Shake the mountains and break the walls apart. Open the heavens. Almighty God, you are overcomer, defender of my heart. Yes, you are. Can we lift up to Jesus this morning? God, we believe there's a breakthrough. God, sometimes we can get in this complacent this complacent place in our life, and days just turn to weeks and months, and it seems sometimes we just drift away from you, Lord. And God, I pray that this morning there's a breakthrough in our hearts, that you would just rush in over us, Lord, that we wouldn't hold anything back from you. But God, you would just take all of us. Take our hearts, Lord. We give it to you. We love you. We praise you. Everyone said, amen. You guys can go and have a seat. Thanks so much for worshiping this morning.
Amen. Amen. Man, it's a little bit like there's like a little bit more red in here today. Something's going on tonight. Probably requires that, right? Yeah, I said that same thing at 8. My mom was the only one that laughed. I don't know. It made me feel good that my mom still laughs at my jokes, but then it made me feel kind of stupid that my mom was the only one laughing at my jokes. But here we are at 9:30, and I said it again, and I'll probably say it again at 11. I don't know. We'll see. But hey, it's good to see you. For those watching online, just want to say, hey, thanks for tuning in this Sunday. My wife and we're going to be hanging out with you in the post-service hangout, so stay in there for that. We are going to be talking about our Valentine's gifts that we've got each other in the past. Spoiler alert, they're weird. So you want to be there for that. And I think that what better way, if you guys aren't watching online, I get it because you're here. But you definitely want to catch what happened this week. We're always trying to create online content that's fun for people to watch. And so last week, Ryan and Pastor Ryan Z and Pastor Nathaniel, they got their nose waxed, and we filmed it. And so it's on. That's what they watched before this. So, I mean, if that doesn't stir your heart to worship, I don't know what will. But that's something that's going on online, so you definitely want to watch that video. It's pretty funny. But hey, we got some stuff coming up that I'm real pumped about here at New Life. And so first off, we've got next weekend, we're going to be kicking off Lent. And we like to do this from time to time. That for us, it's really important that when we kick off a year, we like to kick it off by doing some type of fast. And I know that we're into February now, but I just think it's a great way to say, hey, God, this year, it is my prayer that you would go before us. And so the reason why we pick Lent is a couple reasons. One is, man, it is church history. They have been doing Lent for thousands of years. They've been doing this fast. And the other reason why, too, is I know that in this room, everybody's at a different place spiritually. And so Lent gives you a great opportunity to kind of where you are, determine what type of fast you're going to do. For some of you, you need to push yourself and do something that's really difficult. For some of you, maybe it's new. The idea of fasting is new, so maybe for you, it's just something to continue to remind yourself to pray and to ask God to help you. But wherever you are, it's something we're going to do. And so during our service next week, we're going to give you an opportunity during our service next week to say, okay, God, what do you want me to give up? And what is something that I can pray about until Easter? And so we're really looking forward to that. You don't want to miss it. I'll also note, too, because if you notice that we have a projector that's out and one that's in. And so you could say that this is a projector and this is an amateur projector, but I can promise you that we'll get those happening. So that's coming up. And then the next week on the 21st, we're going to do something that New Life has never done as far as I know. And we are going to have we're going to release a song, which I'm so excited about. And we're going to have a single release party, and it's going to be so much fun. We're going to make it a big deal, and we're going to have like food and all kinds of stuff to just make it feel really special. And then that day, we're also going to drop a music video of that song, and we'll post that song on Apple Music and Spotify and like 10 other streaming services that people don't use. But those are the ones that we're going to do, and so we're really excited. We'll be creating a Facebook event. You want to be here for that. You want to be tuning in online, and we're excited. We're excited to do that. But thinking about music, I started thinking about music and the fact that we're dropping a song and all this stuff's going on. And where we're at in our text this morning in the series on Better Not Call Saul, I started thinking about just like some of my favorite songs. And I realized like some of my favorite songs of all time are one-hit wonders. And when you think about like a one-hit wonder, it's really hard to create a hit. But even though it's like really hard to create a hit, that it's never the goal to be a one-hit wonder. It's always the goal to be the Rolling Stones, you know? And so I was just kind of thinking through like, okay, so what are some of my favorites? So I went each decade and just kind of picked my favorite one-hit wonders. And so the first one, I only went back to the 70s, so I don't know if they made music before 1970, but I know they did then. And so this was my one from the 70s. If you don't know this song, you should know. It's by the band Looking Glass. It's called. Yes, that is okay. For those who watch online, like you should stay on this feed, but then open up YouTube in the other tab and listen to it afterwards. But okay, it's an incredible song. It's about this waitress who falls in love with a sailor, and she loves the sailor, and the sailor loves the sea. It's a great song. I listened to it on my way in this morning. Very good. From the 80s, this song was my favorite one from the 80s by Tommy Two Tone. Jenny 8675309. You know, like you gotta feel sorry for the guy that was his phone number when that song came out, because you know what happened, right? Like tons of teenage boys called his house and was like, "Hey, is Jenny there?" And he's like, "No." And it's kind of sad that a band like Tommy Two Tone only had one hit, because that just sounds like a really stable name. I don't know. Then you got the 90s, and you can't do one-hit wonders in the 90s without Vanilla Ice. Like Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby. I am proud to say I know every word to that song. I am. I'm very proud of that. And I wanted to test it, so I did listen to that one on the way in too, and I still got it. And actually, when I was in 10th grade at a county fair, I actually did that song for the people. So you never know what I got. And so that's there. Like, it's a song, you can't go wrong with it, and it's the 90s one-hit wonder deal. And then the next two aren't as good, I'll just tell you that. But in the 2000s, it's that song Bad Day by Daniel Powder. If you guys watched American Idol, you're very familiar with that song. And then the last one was more of an internet creation, and it was by Rebecca Black, the song Friday. You guys like hang your head in shame over that one, but that one's good because it's Friday, and it's a good day. I'd like to see one about Tuesday, but but the goal is never to have a one-hit wonder. The goal is to have sustained success. The goal is that, man, look at all that we've done, and as much as those bands, and creating one hit is really hard, they look back on what they've accomplished, and really what they have is they have a song to their name. And as we come to our text this morning, and we're looking at King Saul, and really all you need to know about Saul, if you're catching up with us, is that up until this point, he has not been a good character. And if you want one little phrase to kind of get to know Saul a little bit better, it would be that he was the king the people wanted, but he was not the king that people needed. And as much as that's true, and as much as that's his story, the text that we come upon today in 1 Samuel chapter 11, it's his one hit. That this is Saul's one-hit wonder. This is his shot. That if this was Saul's story, and he continued to do things like this, the title of this series would not be Better Not Call Saul. It would be called Saul the Great, but unfortunately it's not. But still, he gets it right, and we're going to acknowledge it. So if you got a Bible, you can go with me to 1 Samuel chapter 11, and we'll start in verse 1, and we'll kind of go through it a few at a time, and we'll look at the text this morning. 1 Samuel 11, verse 1, it says this. It says, "Then Nahash the Ammonite went up and besieged Jabesh Gilead. And all the men of Jabesh said to Nahash," that's a weird sentence, "Make a treaty with us that we will serve you." But Nahash the Ammonite said to them, "On this condition I will make a treaty with you, that I will gouge out all of your right eyes and thus bring disgrace on all of Israel." The elders of Jabesh said to him, "Give us 7 days' respite, that we may send messengers through all the territory of Israel. Then, if there is no one to save us, we will give ourselves up to you." When the messengers came to the Gibeah of Saul, they reported the matter in the ears of the people, and all the people wept aloud. And this is how it starts. It's a very interesting circumstance. Just to kind of look at 1 Samuel, that in 1 Samuel chapter 7, what happens is there's a victory. It's a very decisive victory that comes at the hand of Samuel, and it's so decisive that there's peace in the land. And the peace is so unique to the people of Israel. that they say, we've got to keep this going. And in their attempt to keep it going, in 1 Samuel chapter 8, what they do is they ask for a king. And really the king is a response for them to continue to have peace from their enemies. And then what happens as the story moves along, what happens is that the Philistines start coming from the west. And in their pursuit of the people of God, as they come through the west, what we know is at this point in Israel's history, there is a Philistine garrison at what Israel would describe as the hill of God. And so you've got that coming from the west. And now from the east, you have the Ammonites. And they are coming, and they have made their way to Jabesh Gilead, and they're attacking God's people. Just to give you a little bit of a picture of what's happening, I'll show this map. And so this is Israel. Israel is in the middle. And you can see Ammon there in the small corner to the east, and then to the west, down at the bottom, that's Philistine territory. And so what's happening right now in Israel's history is that they are being attacked from all sides. And I have Jabesh Gilead circled, and just so you can kind of get a picture for how far the Ammonites have made their way into Israelite territory. That if you, at this point in Israel's history, if you are an Israelite, what you're thinking in this moment is we are on the verge of not being a nation anymore. That we have people coming from the west, people coming from the east, that this is not where you want to be, and this is not what you want to be experiencing if you are an Israelite. And so then you go to the situation that we see here in Jabesh Gilead. And you can put the text back up on the screen. And what you see here is you see that the people of Israel, they would be well aware of everything that's happening. And as well aware as they would be of the things that are happening, it really feels like they don't really care. I mean, think about the circumstance. They are about ready to lose their freedom. And someone comes to attack them, and what is their initial response? Their initial response to being attacked and losing their land? Yeah, we'll make a treaty. I'd rather not fight. You can have it. We'll just make a treaty. We'll be yours. And so this guy, Nahash, who's a wicked person, his response is, if it's going to be that easy, I'm just going to go ahead and up the ante a little bit. And he goes, okay, Israel, we will make a treaty with you if that's what you want to do, but here's what's going to be line 1 of the treaty, is that in order for us to make this treaty, we will gouge out all of your right eyes. Which is it's a military tactic, what he's doing. Okay, and so what he's wanting to do is he's wanting to mutilate them in such a way that they'll be unable to ever respond by fighting. Just to give you a picture, this is the only shield that I could find at the church, so maybe our kids need better toys. So it's probably, imagine a shield like this, just a little bit bigger. And so the way that you would fight is you'd have this shield on your arm. Most people were right-handed, and so they'd pop their eye around the shield, and they would be able to fight, but they could see. If you gouge out their right eyes, the people will no longer be able to fight. And so he's saying, let's do it. We'll gouge out the eyes, and then you really will serve us, and there's nothing you'll ever be able to do. But it's still, it will render them less effective for battle, but you know what they'll still be able to do? They'll still be able to farm. And so the thought is, you'll never be able to fight us, but you'll always be able to be our slaves. So Nahash is like, if you want to make a treaty, this is how it's going to go. And even in response to that, I look at the way the Israelites respond, and I think, very strange. Like, some of you have more passion about tonight's game than they have about the idea that their eyes are going to get gouged out if they have to make this treaty. Because essentially what they say is, they're like, well, will you give us 7 days? I mean, we'll go ahead and send some messengers throughout Israel and hope maybe someone will save us. And in the ultimate sign of disrespect, Nahash says, yeah, okay. How little respect would you have to have for a nation to say, yeah, I'll give you a week to try to find someone to save you? You only do that if you think there's no shot. I mean, and it's kind of funny because I think about it and I think of like every bad guy in like villain movies. Like it's like this is the moment where it's like you tie him up in the room with a gun, like just kill, like end it. But instead, like he's like, well, we're just gonna leave the door slightly open so that maybe something can happen. But you only do that because either you're a bad leader or you don't respect the people that you're capturing. And I think it's probably a little bit of both here with Nahash. And so, okay, so then kind of just to remind you, so the last chapter, what happens in the land of Israel is that Saul is anointed king. That he's the one who Israel chooses to be their leader who will go before them and fight their battles. When he's hiding amongst the baggage, they see him and they say, this is the one that we want. And we want him because he can fight. And now they're being oppressed from all sides. And they're not looking for him. It's almost like they know the truth about him. And you see that there in verse 4, where it says, they went to the Gibeah of Saul. They weren't looking for Saul. The author is just saying they went to Saul's town. And you know they weren't looking for Saul because you see what happens next in verse 5. And I'll just be honest with you, it feels very Saul. Verse 5, it says, now behold, Saul was coming from the field behind the oxen. And Saul says, what is wrong with the people that they're weeping? So they told him the news of the men of Jabesh. So the people are looking for a savior. They're looking for someone to fight for them. Saul has been anointed in previous chapters to be that guy. And they come to his town, and they don't even think to look for him. Saul finds this information out not because they were looking for him. Saul finds this information out because he's asking them why they're weeping. It's very interesting. And then not only that, but if you go back to the last chapter, what happens is Saul goes home. And he goes home with valiant men whose hearts were stirred. Like the idea here is that his army is being built. And what is Saul doing? He's farming for daddy. And I think more troubling than the fact that he's farming is the fact that no one really believes that Saul's the one who can deliver them. And think about times in your life, okay, where you were really stubborn and you really wanted something, even though it was bad for you, and you convinced yourself. Push comes to shove in that moment when you really need that thing, right? You stop lying to yourself in that moment. This is what's happening here with the people of Israel. They realize they picked the wrong guy. But here's the weird part. Yeah, sure, Saul's farming. But what comes next? You see, Saul can be actually everything that he could be. Look at this in the next verse, in verse 6. It says, and the Spirit of God rushed upon Saul when he heard these words, and his anger was greatly kindled. The Spirit of God has rushed on Saul before. That if you remember a few chapters ago, that the Spirit of God rushed upon him in hopes that he would help defeat the Philistine garrison on the hill of God. But Saul did nothing. Here we have another example of the Spirit of God coming upon Saul, and this time it's a little different. And what's different this time is, one, that it says that his anger was greatly kindled. And maybe some of you see that and you think, no, that I like the idea of anger. Maybe you see that and you think, I thought that anger was a sin. I thought that anger was always wrong. And to that I would say, anger is wrong a lot. I think it's a lot easier to sin when you're angry than when you're not. And I think that a lot of times when we say things that we don't mean when we're angry, we regret those things that we say when we're angry. But sometimes anger is the appropriate emotion that God wants to use to accomplish his purposes. You know, if someone attacks your family, in that moment that happens, you're not going to be like, you know what, I'm going to sing. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, in that moment when someone does that, you're going to be angry, and the God-honoring thing to do in that moment when someone attacks your family is to respond in anger to protect your family. It's an appropriate emotion. That here, God's people are on the verge of humiliation and extinction. Saul sees this. He realizes what he's been called to. And the appropriate response in that moment, if you are Saul, is anger. And what happens in and through his anger is what I would define as Spirit-empowered leadership. That the Spirit comes upon him, but what's different this time as opposed to last time. Last time the Spirit came on him, he did nothing. This time the Spirit comes upon him, and he's angry, and he responds by being the leader that he's supposed to be. Look at this. In verse 7, it says, and he took the yoke of oxen, cut them into pieces, and sent them throughout all the territory of Israel by the hand of the messenger, saying, who does not come out after Saul and Samuel, so shall it be done to his oxen. And then the dread of the Lord fell upon the people, and they came out as one man. When he mustered them at Bezek, the people of Israel were 300,000 and the men of Judah 30,000. And they said to the messengers who had come, thus you shall say to the men of Jabesh Gilead, tomorrow, by the time the sun is hot, you shall have salvation. And when the messengers came and told the men of Jabesh, they were glad. Therefore the men of Jabesh said, tomorrow we will give ourselves up to you, and you may do to us whatever seems good to you. And the next day, Saul put the people in 3 companies. And they came into the midst of the camp in the morning watch. And they struck down the Ammonites until the heat of the day. And those who survived were scattered, so that no 2 of them were left together. But here you see Saul become the leader that he could be. And even though it's happening, you also notice that the people don't believe it. Notice he doesn't say, whoever comes out and serves Saul. No, he says, whoever comes out and serves Saul and Samuel. He's using wisdom there. He's realizing, hey, no one really knows. I'm pretty unproven, but hey, I'm with Samuel. But then what he does next, and what he does here in these verses, is really great leadership. He motivates the people, and then he has an effective strategy with how to accomplish what he's supposed to do. And that's what you see happen. And I know it's kind of gross when you think of what he did. Like, he cut up these poor oxen, sends them all over Israel, which just, like, in heaven, like, there are things I want to see. Like, I want to see that. Like, what is the messenger like? What's the look on his face as he's carrying that piece of oxen? And then what do you do with the oxen when you give it? Like, there's a lot of questions that I have about the oxen. But even though that happens and it's heavy, what you see is what Saul is saying. Is he's saying, I am the king. It is my responsibility to protect the people that God has called me to protect. I need you with me. And if you aren't going to stand with me, it's going to cost you. What he's saying is okay, you can choose not to fight. That's okay. That's your call. But if you do and we win, then you'll be giving me one of your oxen. And you might think, man, still, an oxen, like that seems, and I would just say to you, okay, yes, but realize what happens if they don't fight. If they don't come out motivated, there will be a town in Israel where no one will have a right eye, where no one will be able to fight. And he sent an oxen, not a person. And so he's saying, this is intense, but not unreasonable. And you know it was anointed. You know it was what God wanted because you see it in the response. I like the way that the Message Bible translates verse 7. It says this. It says, the terror of God seized the people, and they came out one and all, not a laggard among them. That they were ready. That they're ready to fight. They're ready to protect. They're ready to do what they're supposed to do. And so you have this motivation technique, and then you also have the battle strategy. And it's a good way to fight. So what Saul does, and this is according to V. Phillips Long, what he says in his commentary on 1 Samuel is he says that Saul, in splitting his people into three camps, what he's doing is he has the ability to attack the Ammonites from all directions. So there's nowhere they can flee without getting attacked. It's just a good strategy to use. And not only that, but they also attack at night. So the thought is, so you got the people of Jabesh Gilead, and they're saying to Nahash, hey, in the morning you can take us. In the morning, do whatever seems best to you. And Nahash and his men are probably celebrating the victory that they got without even having to fight. And while they're celebrating, Saul swoops in and gets the victory for the Lord and his people. And we know that it worked. We know that it worked because it says by the time the sun was hot, Israel had won. And not only did they win, it was a rout. That it was such a decisive victory that there were no two Ammonites left together at the end of it. That this is who Saul is called to be. This is why Saul was raised up. This is why Israel wanted a king. And they respond by celebrating. That's really the end of this chapter is essentially a celebration service where the people of Israel come together and they say, in essence, look at what God has done. Look at this. Verse 12. Then the people said to Samuel, this is after the victory, they've gathered together. People said to Samuel, who is it that said, shall Saul reign over us? Bring the men that we may put them to death. But Saul said, not a man shall be put to death this day. For today, the Lord has worked salvation in Israel. Then Samuel said to the people, come, let us go to Gilgal and there renew the kingdom. So all the people went to Gilgal, and there they made Saul king before the Lord at Gilgal. And they sacrificed peace offerings before the Lord, and there Saul and the men of Israel rejoiced greatly. This is Saul the king. And if you were to ask me, I would say this part, this section right here, this is where Saul showed what he could have been. He looks like a king. I mean, if you think about the last chapter, the last thing we talked about was that there were men who went with Saul home and they were stirred and they were men of valor. But there also were what the Bible says were some worthless fellows who were like, who says this guy can lead over us? Now Saul's in a position where people are like, who would say that about this king? Let's destroy them. Let's find them and show them who is in charge. And Saul would be able to do that as king with a blank check. He's king. And yet Saul's response is, no. He's not petty. And he's well aware of where the victory came from. He's not saying, yeah, I won because look at what I did. He's not saying, yeah, salvation came because I broke the people up into three sections and we attacked at night. No, he's saying, no, we can't defeat them because the only reason why I'm king and the only reason why we won, it isn't because of me, but it's because the Lord works out salvation. Because God is the God who saves. So you have this text. It's interesting. This is Saul. And man, I bet Saul wishes this was the only story about him that was told in the Bible. because he looks good. And so then the question is, as we look at this text, as we consider Saul, as we think about what this means, is okay, so what does this mean for us? Like, what do we do with this text? And I think there's a few things. One, I would just say, is that some of you, when you consider your relationship with Jesus, and you consider who he is and what he's been, like some of you, your relationship with Jesus and your story is similar to Saul's in that really your relationship with Jesus consists of one defining moment. And for some of you, you're holding on to some camp experience that you had when you were a kid. And you're like, man, I had that, and I've really never known Jesus like I did then, but I knew him then. Or maybe something happened in youth group, or maybe it's an action that you did where you stepped out in faith and you're like, I think that I'm good because I did this. And I would just say to you, like Saul's story is not one where we reflect on and we say, man, remember that one time he defended Jabesh Gilead? That Saul's stories, we look at the story like at Jabesh Gilead and think, man, what could have been if this guy would have just been faithful to do what God asked him to do? And the same is true of you. That God has more for you than just one thing. That there's more to walking with Jesus and having a relationship with him than one moment where you did what you were supposed to do. But really, your goal should be a lifetime that is sustained by continuing to do the things that he asks you to do when he asks you to do them. So you see that, and then maybe the question is, how do I walk into that? How do I live in a way that has that present in my life? And to that, I would say you see something really, I think what I would say is an interesting formula here in the text. And I would call it a formula because I think that you see these three things present that equal victory. You see opportunity, you see spirit empowerment, and then you see practical wisdom. And when you put all of those three things together, you get victory. That with Saul, he had an opportunity. That God's people were surrounded. They needed a leader. They needed someone who would be decisive. They needed someone who would give direction. Saul was just that guy. The Spirit rushed upon him and made him a different person. And when the Spirit rushed upon him, he used wisdom to do what he was supposed to do. And all of these things, you put them together, and you have victory. And so I think for us, it's important for us to look at our lives and kind of evaluate it against that. So the first thing we have to look at is, okay, so what is the opportunity that God's brought to me? What is the thing that is before me that God created me to do? And hear me, everyone has something. Sure, Saul's was dramatic. He was the first king of Israel. I don't know that God's calling you to be the king of Israel. And if he is, don't tell me because I'll make fun of you. I don't think that's what he's calling you to do. But there is an opportunity that's before you. It could be through your workplace. Maybe God's given you a role. And you're able to impact people's lives that through what you're able to do. Maybe there are people that you work with and God has put them before you. And they're in your path so that you can help them know Jesus better. That everyone has an opportunity maybe for some of you. Like if you're a parent, every day you go home and you see your kids, you have an opportunity to help them know Jesus better. And here's what I'll tell you. We will do the best that we can on that side of the building. I promise you that. If you don't reiterate the things that we say back there, we're only going to be able to go so far. You have an opportunity. And I would point out, too, that opportunities, like here in the text, that often opportunities come in the form of a challenge. That if you think of Nahash, if we were to just stop the story in verse 4, who's saying, this feels like an opportunity? You have a wicked person saying, I'm going to gouge out everybody's right eyes. No one's like, I'm going to sign up for that opportunity. No one wants that. And the same is true for your life. There are opportunities that God has given you, and they probably feel a lot like challenges right now. But the cool thing is that the bigger the challenge, the greater the opportunity for God to do something where only He can get credit. Part of what makes this story so amazing is that no one thought Israel could win. They were so unconcerned with them that they let them look for someone to save them, and oh man, they found someone. So whatever that thing is before you, God has put it there. But then you also have, with an opportunity left alone, it's just an opportunity, but what you need spirit empowerment. You think about Saul here in the text. And the thing is, we're talking about this in teaching team. We're talking about how Saul didn't look like Saul. He didn't act like Saul. And it's because the Spirit came upon him. And when the Spirit comes upon you, you don't look like yourself. You don't act like yourself. You're better than yourself. Because the Spirit comes upon you and gives you the ability to do things that you wouldn't normally be able to do. Now you hear that and you think, well, okay, but that's Saul. Like that's an experience that surely would be unique to the first king of Israel. And I would say, not if you ask Jesus. That Jesus came into this world, lived a perfect life, died a perfect death, and He rose from the grave. And when He rose, He sent His Spirit to dwell in you so that you can do what He's called you to do. I love the way that John says it in his gospel in John chapter 14. He says this, Jesus speaking. He says, and I will ask the Father, and He will give you another helper to be with you forever, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it neither sees Him nor knows Him. You know Him. How? For He dwells within you and will be in you. That this thing that Saul experienced is something that is for you according to Jesus. But you need the practical wisdom. We look back to the text prior. The Spirit had come on Saul once before, but he didn't do anything. If we look ahead at Saul's life, he actually does the right thing, but he does it without God's help. So for you, as the Spirit comes up, the question is, okay, so God, then what is the next step that you want me to do so that I can be most effective in doing what you've asked me to do? But that is what this text presents to us. And so as I close this morning, I would just ask you to consider with me, what is that opportunity? What is that thing that God has put before you, that He's called you and asked you to do? And as you consider that thing, are you relying on His Spirit to help you get through it? Are you asking God to give you the wisdom to accomplish what He's asked you? Or are you just saying, I'm going to take this one on my own? Or maybe the Spirit's dwelling within you and you know what you're supposed to do, but you're like, I'm just going to sit back and do nothing about this. And so as we close, I would just like us to pray, God, what is it before us? What is it that you've asked us to do? And then pray that we would open our eyes to the reality of what the next step might be. Would you pray with me this morning? Heavenly Father, we love you. And God, we're thankful that you give us your Spirit. And God, that your desire in that is that we wouldn't just have these one-time deals. But God, that your desire is that we would have a sustained relationship with you where we continue to do the things that you ask us to do. And so God, I pray for everyone here that's listening to my voice, whether they're online or God, whether they're in this room. God, I pray that you would open up our eyes to the reality of the opportunity that's before us. I think for most of us in this room, God, we know what it is. And I just pray that you would help us as we know what it is to walk by your Spirit. That as you dwell within us, God, that we would sense that. And that we'd have a sense in whatever we're doing, that God, that we are doing what we've been called to do. God, maybe there are people here and they really just feel confused. They don't know what it is that you're asking them to do. They don't know that. And I just pray that you would help them to see the opportunities that are before them. Whether it be friends that they come in contact with, whether it be family members who they know, whether it be a job, whatever the case might be, I pray that you would help us all to be aware of the opportunities that are before us, and that your Spirit would come upon us, and that we would do the right thing. And then, Father, I can't help but pray, and I just wonder if there's any of us who our relationship with you is just, we're holding on to one time. We're holding on to the one time we got it right. The one time we did what we were supposed to do. And God, if that's us, I pray that you would not let us be okay with that. But that, God, that we would be well aware that you have called us to more. And God, as you called us to more, help us walk in the victory that comes through doing what you've asked us to do. And maybe for some people, that's they need to put their faith in you, Jesus. I pray they would. I pray they would confess their sins, that they'd believe in their hearts that Jesus, that you were raised from the dead, and that their hope would be, because you were, they will be too. God, we celebrate that hope this morning. Thank you for who you are. It's in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Love you guys.
Show you guys.
Mother in a church hat clap, man, that sure gave her color purple coming back clap. When that whole week beat you up and stress you, but you hear that organ playing and remind you of your blessings. And on another note, she just hit another note. Chills down my spine, got me crying, make me overload. You don't know about it though. Old school church hymns, deacons get the humming, now the drum up in the verse stand. Lordy, Lordy, Lord. Can you hear me now? Church close, sweater, you don't care, you just.
That's just a little taste of what our kids will be doing.
New life.
Hello, hello. Good morning.
It is so good for you to be able to see us. This is Pastor Ryan here with my lovely wife, Joanna Godin.
Yeah.
Which is, and so we're excited to get to hang out with you here as we close out service. Man, for those of you guys watching online, we just would say thank you for being part of what God's doing online. It's really kind of cool to see. I was telling Joanna actually last week that someone from Dallas, Texas messaged me and they were watching it online. It was kind of cool.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
We thought as it was closing, we wanted to talk a little bit about Valentine's Day. I know that it's Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
But
that's a big thing today.
It's a big
Super
thing.
Bowl.
So maybe, okay, who do you think's going to win? And then we'll go to Valentine's Day. So we're both going to say who we think's going to win. We haven't talked about this yet, but then we'll go to just kind of sharing Valentine's Day.
And my knowledge of football is not extensive. However, being from Missouri, I feel like I should say the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think that's appropriate.
And I do take responsibility for the win last year because when I left the room, that's when things turned around.
It's true.
You came in, you said, hey, the Chiefs are winning. I tried to come back in the room and you said, stay where you are.
I said,
and there was a victory.
And there was a victory.
You are welcome. And so I feel responsible. So if they're not doing well, I'll leave the room.
And that's it. So like if things are bad, you just text.
Was Joanna in the room? Get her out of the room.
Get her out of the room. That's
and
what.
I'll leave.
And
I have respect.
You
yeah.
respect. And so and if it's only crazy if it doesn't work.
And
right?
so far, it works 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So, who do you think is going to win? You're going to be controversial.
Okay, so
I feel it.
So don't judge me online. I'm looking at some of these comments. We got some Go Cheaps comments. Okay, like here's the deal, guys.
Yeah.
Don't judge me. I'm really torn. Like
I knew
torn.
you were going to do this.
I know, and I have no choice. Like what Tom Brady has done. I know. Stop. I know you're giving me the angry face. Stop. Like what he has done is incredible.
Eat kale chips.
Yes, he eats avocado ice cream.
That's just wrong.
It's wrong.
I can't
it's
root
disgusting.
for someone who does that.
Like
why even eat ice cream? Don't put an avocado in it.
Like I just think here's the deal. What he's done is really impressive. I think I want the Chiefs to win.
Of course. Go Missouri.
Go Missouri. I have a Missouri on my wall. But man, Tom Brady, what he's done is really impressive. And if you can say that he's cheating. See, Heather Rader, superstition's only dumb if it doesn't work. Thank you.
Yeah.
Trisha Clark wants your phone number so she knows who to call during the game. It's 867-5309. See what I did there? Tied it back to the beginning.
That was clever, yeah.
Nothing like a superstitious sports pastor. Yes, you are right.
And you really are. You have rituals. For Nebraska, like certain shirts that you can and can't wear. Like, he even involves the children. There are certain things the kids can and can't do.
Yeah.
When Nebraska, like certain drinks.
Yep. Yeah.
Didn't you go through, like, it had to be a red drink for a while?
Yes, I did.
So, yeah, he is very superstitious.
Like, this is embarrassing.
Well, but it's true.
I would even go as far as say, I have this feeling that Nebraska has had a losing season because I bought a hat a couple of years ago.
And
yeah. So that's kind of it. So, okay. So that's a little bit of sports talk with Ryan and Joanna. This will be on the internet somewhere. We'll probably put it on a podcast. You and me talking sports.
Something I know nothing about.
No, I think you've done well.
But I do know about love.
You do, and
so we can talk about Valentine's.
Let's talk about Valentine's Day.
All things
surrounding
that. So I don't know if any of you have delved into making Valentine's boxes for your children. This was our first rodeo because normally the teachers say just bring in a bag or we'll make one in class.
We're always thankful for teachers who say that.
We are eternally grateful for that. But this year we had to make a box and we did a Mario box. We just hot glued some of Jack's little Mario figurines, and I made a warp pipe out of a cup and duct tape. So
yeah, it was really great.
It took every minute of 2 hours last Sunday, and it looks
great,
homemade. So I don't know if you guys are making Valentine's boxes. Let us know in the comments what you've made, or maybe you're just doing the Walmart sack.
And if you
good for you.
Let us know that. We're jealous of you.
We stand with you and applaud. Like, I think that's great.
Yeah, this should be addressed at the next business meeting. I think that's part of Tom Brady. So she made a great box. It's really good. It was a partnership with my son Jack, because you don't want me doing that. But okay, so how long have we been married?
13 years.
13 years. 13 of the best years of my life. Okay, I said that like I didn't mean it. I mean it.
I hope so.
I do. Okay, so
are you talking about how many times we've celebrated Valentine's Day, like gone on a date?
How many times have we given each other a gift on Valentine's Day?
One. We're not gift givers. That's not our love language.
It's not.
So one time we got gifts, and they were both as seen on TV gifts. So why don't you reveal what you got for me?
Yes.
And then I'll reveal what I got for you.
Okay, so again, we don't do this a lot.
And it's going to show, and you're going to understand why in a minute.
And you should judge us, but this is okay. So there's
a lot of judgment today for us.
It is. It's
being
Super Bowl
vulnerable,
Sunday. We're being very vulnerable. Okay.
You got me because I'm always cold.
I got her for the only Valentine's gift I've ever gotten my wife was a Snuggie. A Snuggie. It was a blue Snuggie. It's the only one it's the only gift I've ever gotten her for Valentine's.
I was ecstatic. I was excited. I'm always cold. I mean, the mobility you have in a Snuggie.
You never thought how it was so hard to hold the remote. She said ecstatic, and I just want to point out that those things were so staticky.
Yeah, they were. And
that was a pun. That was a pun.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then you asked for this.
I did.
I don't remember what it was called. It was like the foot spa. it was like suction cup to the bottom of the shower, and it had the brushes, and you like slide your foot in it to clean your foot.
And that's what I wanted.
And I think you used it -4 times.
So we bought it. I was so excited to use it in the shower, and then
the bristles were hard. I remember it wasn't like the luxurious spa treatment you thought it was going to be.
It was everything I didn't want it to be. It was painful. It kind of tickled, and then it also like the suction cups didn't stick to and so it just slid around.
There were a lot of problems with the foot spa wash.
So that's what we've done. So okay, we got a couple comments on a Snuggie. Good thing gifts are not Joanna's love language. Needs to share
That's
what he,
$19.99.
Yeah, that is.
And we got one free. Like we had a Snuggie for each of us.
We did, and
because order now, and we'll send you another Snuggie. Just pay shipping and handling.
And it was it was about as horrible as you think. So that's a little bit of our stuff. QBC information. Yeah, this is good. And I can't think of a better way for us to end it than that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. And so we're looking forward to Valentine's Day this year. We've got dinner with friends on the Friday.
Yeah.
And then we're going to spend Sunday together here.
Yeah.
And so
we might get that heart-shaped pizza from Papa Murphy's. So.
We might.
Yeah.
It's 13 years, baby. I love you.
I love you.
All right. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in online. We love you guys. We're so thankful to have you, and it's so cool. It's so cool that we're able to connect with you in this way. We look forward to seeing you. You can always help us out by sharing these services. It gets us in front of people, and, man, we're so thankful for all God is doing through our online community. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Go Chiefs!